Good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha television. I am Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Well, situation in Jammu and Kashmir continues to be our top focus. Now, grenade attacks on police party reported from Pulwama. 18 cops have been injured. Now, this on a day when Home Minister Rajnath Singh visited Srinagar. All the details to follow. Also, all the updates on Scorpion submarine data leak case. Now, Defence Minister has sought a report from Navy, even as France says that it will cooperate with India. We'll get you all the updates on that as well and much more in this news bulletin in the next half an hour. Let us begin with the headlines. Home Minister Rajnath Singh holds talks with leaders of various political parties in Kashmir, meets governor in bid to restore peace in the valley. Opposition calls for ban on use of pellet guns. France says it will cooperate with India over the Scorpion submarine data leak. Investigations begin in both countries. French company asked to submit report. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar says there has been a hacking. Union Cabinet clears the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2016, prohibits commercial surrogacy and allows ethical surrogacy only for needy infertile couples. No exceptions made for NRIs, single parents, live-in or gay couples. American University in Kabul attacked, 7 killed, 30 injured. 10-hour-long operation ends with 2 attackers killed. And death toll in Italy earthquake reaches 159. Towns at the epicenter of quake are scene of devastation. Rescuers race against time to save lives. Our top story this morning, Home Minister Rajnath Singh met with leaders of various political parties in Srinagar and also called on the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. During the first day of his 2-day visit to the state, he also reviewed the security situation in the state following continued violence. Now, the opposition leaders stressed on the need for a dialogue and also the need to reach out at all the stakeholders.
On a day when Home Minister Rajnath Singh visited Srinagar, the Kashmir Valley continued to simmer. Fresh clashes were reported in Pulwama district where a youth was killed. 18 security personnel, including 3 officers, were injured in a militant attack in Kashmir, where life remained paralyzed for the 47th consecutive day on Wednesday. The Home Minister, who is on a 2-day visit to the state, held talks with various political parties. Ahead of his visit, Rajnath Singh said he will meet anyone who believes in Kashmiriyat, Insaniyat and Jamhuriyat.
Absolutely serious about restoring normalcy as far as possible and as early as possible, and certainly Centre is taking all steps in that direction in coordination with the state government, and I'm sure things will come back to normal, which is also the yearning and the desire of the common citizens of Jammu and Kashmir.
After his arrival, the Home Minister was briefed by top civil, army, police and paramilitary officials about the prevailing situation. Former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah led a delegation of leaders of the National Conference to meet the Home Minister. He stressed on the need for beginning of a political dialogue with stakeholders and demanded end to the use of pellet guns.
We believe that it is very important that a political dialogue be initiated with the stakeholders of Jammu and Kashmir. And we will continue to press for those issues, both short-term, in terms of excessive use of force, in terms of the injuries and loss of life on account of the pellet guns, but also the medium to long term, which is the initiation of a sustained, meaningful dialogue to find what, in the words of the Prime Minister, is a lasting solution.
The Congress also sought start to the dialogue process, but also stressed on sending an all-party delegation to the state.
आशा करते हैं कि होम मिनिस्टर न सिर्फ जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हैं उन्हीं से बातचीत करें, लेकिन शुरुआत तो करें और उसके बाद जो दूसरे लोग भी हैं, नॉन स्टेट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज और दूसरे स्टेक होल्डर्स, और वहाँ के स्टूडेंट्स से भी बात करें, वहाँ के ट्रेडर्स, ट्रेड यूनियन से भी बात करें, अलग अलग समुदायों से भी बात करें, और इसके बाद अब शांति होनी चाहिए.
Delegations of the PDP and the BJP also called on the Home Minister at the Nehru Guest House in Srinagar. Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti once again appealed to the youth of the state to shun violence during an event in Srinagar. In another move reaching out to the protesting youth in the valley, the centre has said it plans to train and employ 50,000 youths from Jammu and Kashmir within a year under one of its schemes, Seekho or Kamao. Meanwhile, the United States raised concerns over the human rights situation in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The move is seen as vindication of the Modi-led BJP government's stand on the issue.
Respectfully beg to differ. I mean, we do have concerns about the human rights situation there. I've reported it for several years in our human rights report. And we've obviously are always urging all parties in Pakistan to work out their differences peaceably and through a valid political process. And with respect to Kashmir, our policy there is well known.
66 people have died so far since the protests broke out in July. Separatists have announced extension of their strike call till 1st September. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Meanwhile, in a first, victims of cross-border firing along the Indo-Pak border in Jammu and Kashmir will get compensation of 5 lakh rupees, similar to those who died due to terrorism or left-wing extremism violence. Now, at present, there is no scheme to compensate victims of cross-border firing. Now, the decision on the compensation was taken during a cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Approximately 770 kilometers of the line of control and approximately 220 kilometers of international border have been a witness to frequent ceasefire violations and the influx of terrorists since 1990. More than 50 civilians die every year due to shelling and cross-border firing along the Indo-Pak border in Jammu and Kashmir. As many as 13,921 civilians have lost their lives till last year. Now, the amount will also be given to those who receive 50% or more disability or incapacitation due to the same reasons.
सीमावर्ती क्षेत्र में जो क्रॉस बॉर्डर फायरिंग हो जाती है, अकस्मात आरंभ हो जाती है कभी भी, जिसका पता नहीं रहता, या फिर जो बॉर्डर के पास पाकिस्तान की ओर से माइंस लगाई गई हैं, जिसके कारण अनेकों युवाओं ने अपनी टांगें खो दी, अपने अंग खो दिए, उनको मुआवजा नहीं मिला करता था। तो उनको इस श्रेणी में सम्मिलित करना एक बहुत ही संवेदनशील और ऐतिहासिक निर्णय है। 5 लाख का मुआवजा तो उपलब्ध रहेगा तुरंत, जैसे आपने कहा। उसके अतिरिक्त 1 लाख सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड एक्सपेंडिचर से कुल मिलाकर के 6 लाख उन्हें तुरंत उपलब्ध हो जाएगा। और ये न केवल उन लोगों की जो अपनी जान से हाथ गंवाते हैं, बल्कि वो लोग भी जो 50% से अधिक डिसेबिलिटी का शिकार हुए हैं।
On to some other news now, and France has said it will cooperate with India over the Scorpion submarine data leak. Now, the Indian Navy is probing the leak after Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar sought a report on the entire issue from the naval chief. Now, French company DCNS has also been asked to give a report. Now, Parrikar has said that it is a case of hacking. The Indian Navy suffered a huge data leak relating to 6 Scorpion-class submarines being made by French company DCNS in India. Now, experts of the leaked information were released online by an Australian newspaper. Here are all the details. The Defence Ministry and the Indian Navy came in for a rude shock on Wednesday, with an Australian newspaper reporting the leak of highly sensitive documents detailing the technical and stealth capabilities of India's Scorpion submarines. 6 Scorpion-class submarines are being made in India in partnership with French company DCNS. The first of them, INS Calvary, has even begun sea trials and is likely to be inducted later this year. The leak could inflict damage of $3.5 billion on India. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar said it could be a case of hacking, while also ordering an immediate probe by the Indian Navy.
Chief of Navy उनको बोला है कि वो पूरा विश्लेषण करें उसका क्या लीक हुआ है, हमारे बारे में उसमें क्या है, कितना हद तक उसका अगर है तो लीक।
Running into 22,400 pages, the leaked data gives away the entire secret combat and performance capabilities of the Scorpion-class submarines, including what frequencies they gather intelligence at, what levels of noise they make at various speeds, and their diving depths, range, and endurance. It also discloses magnetic, electromagnetic, and infrared data and specifications of the submarine's torpedo launch system and the combat system. It is not yet clear who first obtained the confidential documents, but they were made public on Wednesday by the Australian media. News reports claim the leaks were made in France, following which the French manufacturing company DCNS announced a formal investigation to determine the exact nature of the documents.
French ambassador to India Alexander Ziegler said that his country is working closely with India on the Scorpion leak case.
The French authorities are taking the matter very, very seriously and working on it very seriously with the CNS, with the industrial. And we are trying to assess the extent, the nature, the sensitivity of information that may have been leaked. And we will do and work in this in very, very close cooperation and full transparency with the Indian authorities.
The leak created furore in the political circle, with opposition parties demanding a clarification from the government.
Despite this Himalayan blunder that has deeply hurt India's defence preparedness, explanation of Modi government and defence minister is it's a case of mere hacking. Both the Defence Minister of India, Shri Manohar Parrikar, Modi government and Indian Navy are currently engaged in Operation Cover-Up instead of Operation Fixation of Responsibility.
According to experts, the leak is massive and a matter of huge concern.
It is a significant compromise of the credibility of the underwater platform, because a submarine is all about not being detected. And if you look at the technical detail that has been put out in some of the sections, I was quite struck by one part which spoke about the acoustic signature.
Marked Restricted Scorpion India, the leaked documents could provide an intelligence bonanza to India's strategic rivals like Pakistan and China. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news. Well, a draft bill which aims to ban commercial surrogacy and safeguard the rights of surrogate mothers has been cleared by the Union Cabinet. The law also bans unmarried, live-in and gay couples from opting for altruistic surrogacy. Here are the details.
तो एक संतुलन बैठाया जाए कि कमर्शियल सरोगेसी को पूर्ण रूप से प्रतिबंधित कर दिया जाए, लेकिन इस तरह के रिश्तेदार अगर आगे आकर मदद करते हैं तो उस पर रेगुलेट करते हुए उसकी अनुमति दी जाए.
The Union Cabinet has given its nod to the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2016. The bill will ensure effective regulation of surrogacy, prohibit commercial surrogacy and allow ethical surrogacy to needy infertile couples.
सबसे पहली बात, इस बिल के माध्यम से केवल भारतीय नागरिकों को ही ये अधिकार दिया जा रहा है अल्ट्रुइस्टिक सरोगेसी का भी. विदेशी नागरिक और यहां तक कि ओसीआई कार्ड होल्डर्स को भी अनुमति नहीं होगी. जो दंपति इस तरह का बच्चा चाहता है, सरोगेट चाइल्ड, वो कानूनी रूप से विवाहित होना चाहिए, शादीशुदा होने चाहिए आपस में. अविवाहित को अनुमति नहीं होगी, सिंगल पेरेंट की अनुमति नहीं होगी, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप की अनुमति नहीं होगी, homosexual couples को अनुमति नहीं होगी.
The bill also has stringent provisions for surrogacy clinics.
सरोगेसी क्लिनिक्स हैं, उनके बारे भी ये लगाया गया है कि एक तो उनका रजिस्टर्ड होना जरूरी है. कोई भी अनरजिस्टर्ड सरोगेसी क्लिनिक नहीं चल सकेगा. और इसको और ज्यादा अंकुश लगाने के लिए किया गया कि कोई भी सरोगेसी क्लिनिक यदि मां की उपेक्षा करता है, सरोगेट मदर की, या चाइल्ड को अबेंडन करने में सहायता करता है, या वो दंपति जो औरत की उपेक्षा करते हैं, जिसको उन्होंने, चाहे वो अब रिलेटिव ही होगी, लेकिन उसकी अगर उपेक्षा करते हैं या बच्चे को अबेंडन करते हैं, तो कम से कम 10 साल की सजा, नॉट लेस देन 10 years, कम से कम 10 वर्ष की सजा होगी और 10 लाख रुपए तक का जुर्माना होगा.
The National Surrogacy Board at the central level and state surrogacy boards and appropriate authorities in the state and union territories will also be set up to regulate surrogacy. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Madhya Pradesh and Delhi Assembly ratified the 122nd Constitution Amendment Bill on Goods and Services Tax on Wednesday. Madhya Pradesh became the 7th state to pass the GST bill. In a day-long session, the GST bill was unanimously ratified by the members with a voice vote after discussion. Now, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan terming it a process towards the economic integration of the country. Meanwhile, Delhi Assembly became the third non-BJP ruled state and the eighth to clear the tax regime, billed as the single biggest tax reform in decades. Well, the bill was endorsed by the House by a voice vote following a brief discussion, during which Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia called GST a big reform, which will be good for the country's economy as well as growth. Meanwhile, Mizoram and Goa have called a special session on 30th and 31st of August for the ratification of the GST. Earlier, Assam, Bihar, Jharkhand, Himachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Gujarat have already ratified the bill. The deadline for the rollout of the GST is 1st of April next year.
एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की कल्पना को साकार करने के लिए एक कर प्रणाली अब पूरे देश में लागू होगी और उसका न केवल उसके कारण जीडीपी बढ़ेगी, प्रक्रियाओं का सरलीकरण होने के कारण, ऑनलाइन होने के कारण उस पर रोक लगेगी, टैक्स बेस बढ़ेगा और उसका लाभ देश को भी मिलेगा, प्रदेश को भी मिलेगा। सभी दलों ने सर्वसम्मति से जीएसटी को स्वीकार किया, मध्य प्रदेश की विधानसभा में भी पारित किया।
Well, right now we'll take a very short break. Up next, we'll get you more news, especially on the Italy earthquake. Stay with us for that and much more.
Blindness can come in a variety of ways. 3.5 to 3.8 crore people in India are 360 blind. 3 million to 3.5 million Indians can be cured in 10 minutes if they are only refractive index blindness.
Watch Eureka with Dr. D. Balasubramanian, renowned ocular biochemist, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Now a look at the flood situation across several states in the country. Well, 2 more persons were killed in floods in Uttar Pradesh, which has affected lakhs of people in 28 districts of the state. The Ganga and Yamuna are flowing above the danger mark in Balia, Mirzapur, Varanasi, Ghazipur, Jalgaon, Hamirpur and Allahabad. Now, NDRF teams have been sent to affected areas. Meanwhile, in West Bengal, at least 7 persons have died due to flood-related incidents in 3 districts, as the new areas in West Midnapore and Hooghly were submerged following a fresh release of water by the Damodar Valley Corporation. Over 58,000 people have been affected in Hooghly, West Midnapore and Havra. The river Ganga is flowing above the extreme danger level in Malda district. Meanwhile, in Bihar, with the 7 deaths, the toll in the current round of floods has risen to 29. The Ganga flood fury shifted to eastern districts of Vaishali, Samastipur, Begusarai, Munger, Khagaria, Bhagalpur and Katihar. River Punpun is overflowing due to rains in the state. Meanwhile, in Jammu, 2 boys were washed away in flash floods in the Tavi River. They were washed away due to sudden floods owing to rains in the catchment areas. Now, a search operation was launched immediately by the BSF and one of the boys were rescued. The Met Department has now said that the La Nina phenomenon, which gives a boost to southwest monsoon, was expected to give above normal rainfall in the month of September as well. La Nina is associated with cooler than average sea surface temperatures. And a 6.8 magnitude earthquake shook Myanmar on Wednesday, killing at least 3 people and damaging pagodas in the ancient city of Bagan. Well, the quake struck 25 kilometers west of Chauk town in the central Myanmar at a depth of 84 kilometers. Tremors were also felt as far away as Thailand, Bangladesh and India, sending fearful residents onto the streets. According to the Ministry of Information, nearly 100 of Bagan's famed pagodas, or the temples that were mostly built between 11th and 13th centuries, have been damaged. Meanwhile, tremors were also felt in Bihar, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and northeast states of India, spreading panic among people. There were no immediate reports of loss to life or property. In Kolkata, metro services were temporarily suspended after tremors were felt. Building walls developed cracks due to the tremor. No damage, however, has been reported from any other part of the country. The quake was also felt in Bangladesh to the west of Myanmar.
पूरा हिल रहा था, नीचे से लग रहा था लगभग हम लोगों को तो 15-20 सेकंड महसूस हुआ, 15 to 20 seconds।
सर्विस अभी बंद पड़ा हुआ है, अभी कोई सर्विस नहीं है और इसको अभी परेशानी तो हो रही है। जाना था काम से, ऑफिस के काम से जाना था, पर अभी तक नहीं जा पा रहे हैं, तो परेशानी तो है।
भूमिकंप आया है वो तो बहुत बड़ा हो गया। हम लोग मीटिंग में बैठे रहे, अभी आज हम लोग का सारा असम का कमिश्नर और लोग वाइस चेयरमैन और चेयरमैन दोनों हम लोग बैठे रहे वहाँ। जब हिलता है ऐसा सबको डर हो गया।
On to some developing story. At least 7 people have been killed in an attack by gunmen on the American University in the Afghan capital, Kabul. Now, the victims also included police officers and security guards. More than 30 others have been injured. Now, 2 attackers were also shot dead by the security forces nearly 10 hours after the assault began. Police officials say about 700 students and university staff members have now been rescued. Now, there were no immediate claims of any responsibility for the attack on the university, which is on the edge of Kabul. The attackers detonated explosives and fired guns when they invaded the campus, causing many students and faculty to flee. Others hid inside the building while the insurgents remained on the campus. Well, this university is regarded as a symbol of cooperation between Afghanistan and the United States. Now, the US State Department has condemned what it called an attack on the future of Afghanistan.
We were studying at second floor that suddenly we heard a very harsh sound, then some fires, then we didn't feel good and safe, so therefore we jumped from the second floor.
Anytime we see innocent civilians, whether they're Americans or Afghans or other innocent people of any nationality in an international city like Kabul, in harm's way, we're of course deeply concerned about that. And the security situation inside of Afghanistan is still one that is concerning. So it certainly is something that we're monitoring closely.
Meanwhile, the death toll in the Italy earthquake has now touched 247. The towns at the epicenter of the quake, Ambratis, Accumoli and Acquata del Tronto, are now the scenes of devastation, with rescuers racing against time to pull out people alive from the rubble. Now, Italian Prime Minister has vowed to spare no efforts in saving lives and in providing relief, even as many other nations have offered help.
Relief. As the 65-year-old man is rescued from rubble. He was buried for 9 hours in the town of Accumoli after a devastating 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit central Italy on Wednesday morning. However, rescue workers quickly move on to their next rescue mission. Hundreds of people are still believed to be buried under the rubble. Rescue teams are using heavy lifting equipment and bare hands to carry out rescue work. Many settlements are only accessible by small roads, posing a challenge for authorities moving in heavy machinery to the disaster spots. Rescue dogs sniffed and clawed through the debris with no signs of life. Earlier, Prime Minister Matteo Renzi warned the toll could rise as he visited the affected areas. Search for survivors continued through the night.
Le vittime sono soprattutto concentrate in 3 comuni. Ci sono almeno 120 vite spezzate al momento ed è un bilancio.
The town of Amatrice has been worst hit. Other fatalities were reported in the nearby towns of Accumoli and Acquata del Tronto. US President Barack Obama called Italian President Sergio Mattarella to offer assistance. The leaders of France, Germany and Russia and the European Union all expressed sympathy over the disaster. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to express sadness over loss of lives.
Secretary Kerry spoke to the Italian Foreign Minister and made clear the American people stand with the Italians in this difficult time. He offered any U.S. assistance Italy may require and pledged to stay in close contact as search, rescue and recovery efforts continue.
Es ist schrecklich, wie wir sehen, und wir werden auch bereit sein, alles, was wir können, wenn es notwendig ist, Italien als Hilfeleistung zur Verfügung zu stellen. Und unsere Gedanken sind heute bei den Menschen in der Region in Italien.
Italy is no stranger to deadly quakes. In May 2012, a pair of earthquakes killed dozens of people in northern Italy, while in April 2009, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake hit the Aquila region of central Italy, killing 295. The earthquake on Wednesday struck an area close to the 2009 earthquake. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's get you some more international stories now in World Wrap. Syrian rebels, backed by the Turkish military and US air cover, have now taken the town of Jarablus from the Islamic State. The assault began at dawn when Turkish warplanes, tanks and special forces personnel crossed the nearby border. Rebel commanders said that most of the Islamic State militants subsequently retreated. Turkey says its intervention is targeting both Islamic State fighters and the Syrian Kurdish-led alliance that is attempting to advance on Jarablus. Meanwhile, a UN investigation has established that President Bashar al-Assad's forces carried out at least 2 chemical attacks in Syria. The panel was able to identify the perpetrators of 2 chemical attacks carried out in 2014 and 2015, but was unable to draw any conclusions in the 6 other cases that it had been investigating over the past 1 year. The report also says that IS terrorists used mustard gas as weapon. Drone strikes killed 5 Al-Qaeda suspects traveling in cars in provinces of southern and eastern Yemen on Wednesday, while 3 militants were killed when a rocket fired from a drone struck their vehicle in the desert area of Marib province. Another 2 were killed in a separate drone attack in the southern province of Sabha. Some interesting news now. Well, scientists have discovered an Earth-like planet orbiting the star closest to the Sun. Well, this planet, named Proxima b, is 1.3 times the size of the Earth and is believed to be rocky. Well, according to a paper published in the journal Nature, Proxima b is at the right distance from its star to support liquid on the surface. Well, it is located about 4.2 light years or 40 trillion kilometers from Earth and is closest of some of the 3,500 planets that have so far been discovered beyond the solar system since 1995.
From simulations and from other observations of other systems, transit observations, we expect and we completely trust that a planet with a mass of 1.3 Earth masses is a terrestrial planet, which means that it is similar to Earth in its shape, sort of, in its making. So it's not a gas ball or something. It's a terrestrial one that has a surface. So you can stand, or people, or who else might be able to stand on it and not like in Jupiter.
Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of News. Thanks so much for your time.